This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back again. Um, we'll start now at 9:06 or so. If before which, if any quick questions anybody have for today's sessions, you may ask. I think one question asked by Hemant, which I answered already, is pen testing and cybersecurity testing are same? And the answer is no. Penetration testing is more specifically for like how far you are able to penetrate into an application, or how much vulnerable is that application, and that you can exploit that application is what is the meaning of the pen testing, penetration testing, they say. The cybersecurity testing is different, in fact. Actually, there is nothing as a cybersecurity testing, rather it is more of a checking around the controls, or how cyber resilient you are, how much you are resistant to any cyber attack. That's the kind of an assessment we do, which is otherwise called as a risk assessment, or maybe a risk analysis as such, right? So that is a major difference between them. Is it okay, Hemant? Okay. Without wasting any time. Okay, thanks, Hemant. Right, and let's start with today's session again. Yesterday we were discussing certain important things. Those things I'll just brief once again for the benefit of others, and I will go quickly for the today's session. Right. So what we were discussing yesterday, if you remember, um, we discussed all the titles that we are gonna discuss in this particular training sessions that we discussed about. And I started to tell about the importance of the cybersecurity, and how important it is, and uh, what are the job opportunities, how booming it is, what are the different types of cybersecurity jobs that are there. But even in detail, I will be explaining in the upcoming slides. However, I gave a brief explanation about what are the different roles that are expected, and importance of cybersecurity with respect to the organizations and the threat actors, etc. and mainly we discussed about this thing. If you remember well, right? This is about one second. Yeah, we discussed mainly about the principles. If somebody would remember, the confidentiality, integrity, and availability is what we discussed yesterday. So I'm sure some of you might have gone through these two things, these three things, and learned a little bit about these things. I guess. If not, I recommend you to just go through these things. What are these meanings, and what are the examples of it that would help you, right? And you may ask, come up with many questions on such these things that would help us and makes more fruitful discussions while we have these training sessions. Okay. uh, so today we are going to discuss some important things about frameworks which I told you yesterday. A little bit of generic framework levels I will tell, and also about little bit of a technical way and how we approach for this frameworks implementation. These two things I will be speaking today. So before which, can you somebody confirm if my screen is available, visible, and my voice is audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you. Right. So now today, first let me plainly discuss about certain things. I will just draw one, you know, notepad and then paint. Right. So let me just speak to you in a very generic way, in a layman terms, to understand the security. For example, like this is your organization, right? And there are some attackers who are trying to, um, attack your organization, right? And your organization must be protected. So how the organization looks like in a physical way, when you see a building, but then in a logical way or in a technical way, it is basically having a several layers. Those layers we need to understand first. When we understand the layers, then we come and understand, okay, if these are the layers, then I must protect this layer with this kind of controls, and this layer this kind of controls. So in a generic way, uh, on the whole, in any organization, basically there are at least three or four types of zones are there. Like how we remember, like red zone and green zone and black zone in various cities, right? So also, even in an organization, basically there are three important, and some places it will be four also. Let me explain what it is. First of all, if this is an organization, and organization have some servers, for example, and endpoints, right? These are servers, right? And these are endpoints or laptops, right? Oh, this is a server where all the information is being stored, and we have some databases as well, right? And having these servers and databases, these two data will be correlated, and that will create an application basically, right? Application is the where you will see the application, you use the application, and you input the application and get some results out of this application. That is how these are the important core areas for our organization, right? So that is why it is called as a militarized zone. What is called as militarized zone, which means I have to secure this area so much in the sense, like it is more of like, for example, let's take an example of India itself. So there are two areas. The one is POK, which is Pakistan occupied Kashmir, they say, and on the other hand, even China is trying to attack on India. There is a border, right? So those two areas, like it is, though we have military over there, but still we are prone for attack at any time. So, but then those who are staying very inside locality, very rural place within Madhya Pradesh, maybe, or maybe somewhere in very rural part of India. So nobody knows about them also. It very less threats we can expect in those places, especially in plateau regions and all. We can't even expect any natural disasters also. So such kind of areas are called as a militarized zone. Completely they are safe and secure. So that is what we have to ensure for our servers and endpoints, our databases and applications. So this zone called as a militarized zone. Next zone comes is our demilitarized zone, which is called as a DMZ zone. As I told, a country which is exposed to another country where border security stays, right? That is in a way is called as a demilitarized zone. What do we see here is basically this is exposed to internet, right? Internet, these applications or this particular area, data and applications will be exposed to the internet. And when you say internet, then attacker will have an access to that internet. Through that internet, that attacker can enter into our organization, right? So this is the path an attacker can enter in. That is why it is called as a demilitarized zone. Now the third zone is called as, let's take this another zone, which is called as a partner zone, right? Which is called as a partner zone, PZ zone, which means, for example, some organizations will have a tie up with some other organizations for their transactions. One example, let me tell you, like for all our internet transactions that we do online for any bank, right? That goes through NPCI, National Payment Card interface is there. So through that, all the transactions will be going NPCI, and we have several other channels where these transactions will be going through. For example, if you're using Google Pay or Phone Pay, then people try to transact between different banks, right? So when they're trying to contact with different banks, that means one bank to other bank, what is the intermediate framework that we have? That is nothing but a partner zone which we have. Every bank or every company will be attached to the partner zone. Some safe authorized zones will be there, that zones they will be connecting with. I hope you got this information. Militarized zone, demilitarized zone, and partner zone. Can somebody give an answer to me? Out of these three zones, which is the zone we must protect the more? We should concentrate more, put more security solutions. Can somebody confirm? No problem, even if it is wrong, also. I want it to be more interactive so that we'll understand it more. I hope I'm audible. Or if you don't want to, okay, military zone. Okay, somebody answered military zone. Yeah, any other answer? Anyone can answer, no problem. Yes. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, audible.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Right, DMZ zone. Very good. Okay, right. Without wasting time, we'll go forward. Yes, DMZ zone is the critical area where we have to put more security solutions, and we have to protect this area. So, for any organization, let's take the area which is exposed to the internet are more prone to the attacks. So, there more security is required. But the area which you are protected and there is no access for external environment, especially the internet, that means that is a militarized zone. No additional security is required, but rather whatever safe secured solutions you have put in, that is enough there, right? And partner zone is basically, this is more in connection with the DMZ, MZ zone. That means it is only safely connected to the authorized zones only, authorized users or authorized organizations only. That means it is purely secured within SSL, which is means like a secured socket layer will be there, and that will be traveling in a very secured way, right? So that is why there is not much importance given for the security in a partner zone. But the more core area is our DMZ zone. So this is where we have to concentrate. So how do we keep our defense for an organization, right? That I'm going to explain now. See, let me give you one example about it, like what it is all about called as, right? So here you can see here what I was explaining till now is something like this. When I say the DMZ zone, which is another way, it is called as a perimeter zone as well. So it is a perimeter of our organization. That means the boundary of our organization or a fencing of an organization. So those perimeter layer, what are the important security solutions that we have to deploy there? It is written here. There are some solutions which are listed down here. There may be some other solutions also which can use, that we have to try to know from the from our experiences, right? So the main important solutions that you see here in a perimeter layer is, some of you might be knowing some of these solutions. For example, if you come from the left, the first solution you see here, DDoS prevention, right? or even before that, MFA is there, multi-factor authentication, right? And DDoS solution. What is DDoS solution? How does it work? Everything I'll explain in very detail. And what are the protocols are used? What how the attack happens? How do we prevent it? How do we employ our AAM, ML? All those things I'll explain in upcoming slides, right? And we see some firewall. I'm sure definitely you might have heard about firewall, right? The firewall is a protection layer for us, and web content layer, and IDS, IPS are some of the perimeter security solutions, and VPN is there, and you see WAF. This is more important, and then the honeypot. What is honeypot? How does it work? I'll explain on that. DLP and physical security logging. So this all comes under the perimeter layer, right? And when you come to the next security layer that we see is as per our OSI model. Yesterday I was talking about OSI model. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how many of you gone through that OSI layer, 7 layers. What are the different types of attacks that could happen in each layer, right? There is one layer which is called as a network layer. So for that network layer, what kind of security you can employ there? So that security are listed down here. These are the solutions, or maybe the tools that we can use it here. One good examples you can see from the left again. Network device hardening is one activity that we can do for a network devices like routers, switches, and all our network solutions that we have. And internal firewall we can put it here, and then virtual patching we have to do, wireless security, mobile security, and this is more important is NAC, network access control, where this is where a server or maybe the endpoint, whether we have to allow it into our network or we have to discard it, everything will be decided through this NAC, right? I'll explain more about these things in the future, right? And internal vulnerability scanning that we could do, DLP, is all things comes under the network security. And then comes the endpoint security. Endpoint security again, endpoint, when you say your computers, your laptops, or maybe your mobile devices, all those things comes here. Here the most important solutions that we see here, EDR, the endpoint detection and response, is an important solution that we use in our endpoint layers, endpoint solutions, right? And file integrity monitoring, patch management, and endpoint disk encryption, DLP, all this comes under this endpoint security. Next layer comes is as an application security layer, where yesterday somebody was asking me also what are the different securities you would be looking specifically into. So these are the things. When application layer, when you say what are the types of security activities that we work here, is mainly is the WAF. What is WAF? How does it work? I'll explain in upcoming slides. Then application vulnerability scanning, database security, DLP, static application testing. You see, these are the various things that we do for application security. Similar is the case for data security, like data classification, and then the, I'm sorry, yeah, data classification and data integrity monitoring, mainly the DLP. Here DLP comes into picture. Although you have DLP in various layers, what are the different types of DLP solutions, data leakage prevention solutions that we employ for our organizations, that I'll explain more in detail in the upcoming slides. Now, having said this, this is the outside threat that is coming in, and you have various layers and that security to be provided here. On the other hand, how this security should work, and what are the policies that you have to employ here, and how should you go forward, all those things will be discussed in the GRC layer, which is means governance, risk, and compliance. So that I'm going to give a brief explanation about it today, and I will also give a very live example, layman example, which you will understand very well and relate those things here, right? So let me quickly move on to that example so that we will get a quick understanding of it. I hope everybody is clear on these things up to here. Anybody can confirm, please?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So let me explain you one good example for your information. Right. So let's take our organization as in one building, and inside the building there is a one room. Inside that room there is one computer, and that computer has some important information, and somebody has to come in and collect that, or maybe some other than the computer there may be some precious things like gold maybe there, or maybe silver. Somebody wants to attack and take that particular thing with them. Okay, this is the objective of an attacker. Now let's think something like this. When somebody comes in, usually for any organization we have a fencing, right? Every organization will have a fencing or a compound wall, we say, right? So let's take an example of a compound wall. Somebody comes in inside the organization, before which they have to first pass through the compound wall, right? Once the compound wall is they have crossed and comes inside, that means this is the outside gate. Compound wall will have an outside gate. Then they have to come inside the organization gate. So what once they enter into the main gate of a compound wall, where they would go into is there will be a security who would be looking for each person who are coming into a home, maybe, or an organization, right? So what do they show? They show an ID card. They show an ID card saying that I am the so and so employee of this organization, right? But even otherwise, many organizations will have a metal detectors. I'm sure many of you have heard about it. So these metal detectors will be kept for most of the organizations to detect if any unauthorized things that they're carrying or explosive things that they're carrying with them, right? So let's think that as a metal detector. Somebody is watching over that metal detector and checking if there is any iron particles or explosive particles with you. Even after that, somebody who's going inside that metal detector, there is a beep sound that comes out, right? And if that beep sounds comes, then immediately the security will be alerted there's something fishy with the person who is going inside. Then immediately they stop them and check their body first, and then their luggage, whatever they are carrying with, right? So that luggage, what they do is they open that luggage and they verify it, and what is there inside. There might be some scissor, or maybe small knife, or maybe some iron particles that they look into. And finally what they do is, if at all there is some important explosive things, what do they do? They don't simply take away that bomb. For example, let's take example that there is a bomb inside her bag. So the security guard will not simply take that bomb and then throw it away from his house or from that organization. Rather, what he will do, he will take that bomb, he will detonate that bomb in a very safer place. Correct. So I'm not sure if how many of you remember this example of Pokhran, which is in India. It's a place in Rajasthan. Basically, I think way back in Second World War, the atom bomb was used for Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan, right? So where when the atom bomb was dropped over there in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, there was a great explosion, and many people died, and the vegetation is still impossible even these days, right? Such a horrible impact that bomb could do. Similar case, when India was trying to check their atomic powers, they tried to detonate or to check that particular atom bomb in a place called Pokhran, which is in a desert place in Rajasthan. So that place they detonated it such that nobody will be affected, no vegetation will be affected, and safely they can understand how our atomic bomb is working in. So that's the kind of an objective people went through, and most of you surely remember this who are 90s kids and all. Pokhran, there's a nuclear test that happened took place in the under the leadership of Prime Minister of India, right? So this has happened to safely verify that particular bomb here. Now you might be wondering, after telling all these things, why are you explaining all these things to us, right? So to give you a very layman example and to make you understand and to relate to our security, I was trying and attempting all these things to make you understand. So my friends, now let me relate these things exactly with what security means to us. For example, let's take internet. So when through internet some attacker comes, then what is required first? We have seen in the previous slide, there is a compound wall or a compound wall gate, correct? So that compound wall gate is nothing but, for any organization, the primary type of attack that would happen is DOS or a DDoS attack. DOS means denial of service, and DDoS means distributed denial of service. I hope surely you might have heard about these terms. Now let me explain you what is DOS and DDoS in a briefer way, and how does it work in a deeper way. We will see in a next sessions. Actually, today I'm going to explain only what is DOS and DDoS, right? So, for example, let me take some here. I think. right? For example, you have an application, and this application serves only 1,000 users, right? But then what happened is, suddenly you were seeing a request coming to this application, maybe more than 1,000, like maybe 15,000 requests are coming, right? In that 15,000 requests, 10,000 usually comes as a genuine request, so that this application will give a response to that particular user. But what happens is, extra 5,000 requests are coming in, so that its capacity will be going down. The resources of this particular application will be going down. And then what happens is, when the resources goes down, the outage of this particular application happens. I'm sure you are aware of outage. Outage means this application is not working as required, because it is hung up, or maybe its resources got completely exhausted. Now it cannot serve to 1,000 users what it actually intended to. But now what happens is, and also it is cumbered with 15,000 requests. One side it is not serving the required people, another side it is cumbered with extra 5,000 things. This means the service that is this application should give to 1,000 users was denied at this place. So that is called as a denial of service. Instead of giving to the genuine customers or genuine requests, so it is being made to deny this genuine request, because these 5,000 extra things have come and spoiled or made this application to go down, right? These extra 5,000 may be a malicious request, an empty request, or maybe a volumetric high volume of dummy requests that they send in, so that these resources will be exploited and goes down, right? This is the kind of an idea. This is called as a denial of service, right? Right. Now, if the similar kind of activity is done by multiple ways and multiple use attackers, and when it is distributed among various users, then it is called as a DDoS attack. What is distributed denial of service? I hope you got it. So this is what is a DDoS attack. So in order to curb this DDoS attack, we have a tool called as a something like a gate for a entrance. What we have seen, the gate, right? So also this is called as an anti-DDoS solution. There are many anti-DDoS solutions. Various vendors are providing it, and how does it work, I will explain in next sessions. However, so we deploy this anti-DDoS solution, something like an exterior gate for us. Now let's go a little deep inside again. Now after the gate, what is there? We see an ID card, a security guard standing here and checking our ID card, right? So accordingly, now let's go here. ID card is nothing but a firewall. What does the ID card look at? Security card look at? You just looks at your ID card, whether your name is there and your photo is there and your employee ID is there. Such things they will be looking in, and they'll just allow you inside, right? That's a kind of an approach security card does. So also firewall also have a funda to look into whether you are the genuine user. You are coming in, your request is authorized to go inside or not, from source to destination, whether you are a purpose to go or not. For example, you have developed an application, and I want to access, whether I am authorized person, licensed person to access that application or not. There is a policy that is written within the firewall, right? Accordingly, it will either allow or deny. I hope you got it. So that's how the firewall works. The next thing what we have seen here is that has been scanned with a metal, right? Scan for metal things with a lady, right? So that means the metal things are already feeded to this, machine, so that if any metal particles are there, it will immediately identify it. So also our security solutions like IDS or IPS, intrusion detection system or intrusion prevention system. This system will be fed with some of the predefined signatures. That means, for example, in the past, some user might have done SQL injection attack or a DDoS attack, right? So if that kind of an attack happens, then what is the signature that they have used? Signature, what is the meaning of signature? How do we use that? That I'll explain in very detail in the upcoming sessions. However, just for your information, signature is nothing but what do you say is like how a person will be identified with their unique fingerprints or with the unique hash for them. So also for every attack, also every file, malware file they have used in that attack will have a signature. Basically a hash will be generated with that. That hash will be fed into this tool, that it will compare the packets which are coming inside, immediately inspect it and say, hey, you are the person, you already were attacking us in the past, now you are trying to come into our organization, we would like to stop you. Like that, this will detect based on the signature. That is nothing but metal detection that it is doing, right? Now if at all there is a bomb that is available, or maybe the malware or the virus that is available in the upcoming packet request, then if you want to know that malware and how is it behaving, what could be the behavior of it, and you want to inspect more on it, right? Like how they have inspected taking into a desert place and then put a nuclear test, right? So also there is another solution called as a um, 1 second. Yeah, another solution called as an anti-APT solution, which I have not listed or listed over here. Even WAF works something like that. Anti-APT solution, especially, what does it do? It advanced persistent threat. APT means advanced persistent threat. So some threats are very advanced nowadays. As internet is growing, many advanced attacks are coming. How do we curb those attacks? So those attacks curbing techniques are already available in that solution. That solution will protect, it will actually open that packet and see its behavior, how is it behaving, and accordingly they will either allow it, they'll give a verdict on it, whether it is reputation is good or bad. Accordingly they will either allow it or deny it. So that's a kind of a security in a perimeter layer we take it. Friends, I hope you understood this, right? Anybody have any question? Anyone? Okay, fine. Let me go forward. So, why I was explaining all these things till now is because I wanted you to understand how these layers are defined, and just to understand what is DDoS and how the perimeter security has been defined, then the firewall, and then comes the anti-APT solution, then comes the WAF solution. You see, all those things are defined here in perimeter security. So that is how understanding of a security has been done, and accordingly the implementation also has been done. Now, having said about these kind of a little bit of a technical things with respect to the perimeter and network and etc., I would now like to shift on to the governance part. Now, this kind of security, if you have to implement along with the security solutions and security norms, somebody have to define it. Basically, they have to tell a policy that, hey, if you are going to get an organization and you want to implement the perfect security there, then you must do at least these things. If you do this kind of list of things, only then you can be safe and secured in your organization. So that is how somebody has to govern us. Basically, every government, every country also has been governed by some governance teams also. So also for our security also, there is a governance team who would be creating certain standards or frameworks with which we will be doing our practical implementations and applications of that particular security in our organizations, right? So now I'm going to shift on to this topic where how the governance is being framed, how it actually slowly dives deep into us, right? Before which I would like to tell that this approach of going from DMZ, MZ, and then the partner zone, and then when I was talking about perimeter security, network security, so down deep when you're going it, this approach is called as defense in depth. So this is very important word to remember. Defense in depth approach. The approach of defensing at various layers and even deeper into the data level also, from the perimeter layer to data layer. So that approach of implementing this security is called as a defense in depth. Okay. Uh, we'll now move on to the governance. 1 minute. Well, So there are some standard, global standard things which are available. Now, with respect to your job opportunities, also, I would like to tell that if you are choosing GRC path like governance, risk, and compliance, if you are certified in any of these listed standards, what I've listed now on the screen, ISO 27001 or 27005, COBIT, and ITIL, PCI. If you're certified on any of these things also, you are very sure to get very huge number of jobs, and they pay huge also, right? That is for your information. Now, let me talk about the standards. What does this standard speaks about? Now, you have gone through maybe somewhere it is written as information security and then the risk management and some framework they are talking about. And the last one, if you would have seen PCI, which means payment card data protection. So these are the frameworks or the standards which are globally available. Now, what do they say to us? Let me tell in a briefer way to you in this session, and then we'll go for a question and answer. Right? First of all, 2700. You might have seen here 27001 is there, and then the 27005. So 27005 specifically speaks about the risk management. As I told in GRC, governance, risk, and compliance, the risk part, how do you manage that risk? What are the principles that you have to adopt? What are the controls that you have to place? All those things will be mentioned in this ISO 27005, right? And then 27001 to 4, what are they? That I'm explaining here. If you could see here, 27000, this is more about um, you know just the security management overview and what kind of vocabulary they use for this standards or a framework. Those are defined here. But in 27001, this is most important one. It is widely used by many organizations, and now the two important ISO 27001 and 2 are pretty much in use in various organizations. So one is first of all is information technology, security techniques, and how what are the techniques they have to really adopt in their organization. How do they work? All those things will be defined here. Like what are the requirements? How the management to be there? Systems how they must be managed, and what should be the segregation between the information and the data. So all those things will be defined in this 27001. Now some of you may be wondering, are we going to dig deep into this ISO and learn? I would like to do that, but in fact, this is a huge topic, and it will have more than 1500 to 2000 sub points to discuss about. Each point they verify in an organization. Accordingly, they give a certification. This organization is ISO certified with respect to information technology. That is how they say it. So, what are defined in this? You want to know? You are welcome to do ISO 27001 or 2 certifications. This will make your career as well, right? These are the two important certifications. ISO 27003 and 4. This mainly speaks about like guidance, like how do we implement it, if any extra measures to be taken, and how to monitor, how to evaluate and analysis. All those things are defined in this other numbers, right? So what I would like to say is I will not now dig deep into the 27001 and 2. Rather, I will give some other information which will be even more practical, even more easier for us to understand, right? Now, next one, what we saw in this global standards is the COBIT. The COVID, before that, the 2700 ISMS have is these important pillars. You can see it here, like information security procedures and policies, asset management, physical and environmental security, human resource security, access control, incident management, business continuity plan, compliance management, secure operations. Now, if you just read out these pillars, no, I'm sure you might have got some information like how a organization must be secured and what all areas and what all pillars it must have. So these are the various pillars this ISO 2700 has been built with. So if at all you comply and then secure your organization in these aspects, that means your organization is in very safer made, right? So most of the organization they are complying to this particular standard. Okay. Now let me go to the COBIT. COBIT also have a key concept something like this. They have 7 points, like they meet the stakeholders need, the end-to-end coverage, single integrated framework, and enabling a holistic approach, separating governance from management. So this is a common challenge in every organization. I know they mix the governance with management team, and some people try to tailor to the organization, like all the concepts of COVID, they try to tailor it with the organization and covering the enterprise end-to-end activities. Now, just I'm not just reading out all these things. Basically, this COVID IT will have a very huge set of list which has to be implemented in an organization so that they will be secured from a cyber attack. So those things we have to go through each one by one, line by line. If you understand that's a very big topic for us, right? I'm not going to explain those things now. Rather, I will explain another simplified one more thing. So next comes is most important one, which I will gonna go in little bit detail before we close today's session. So what is this? Is cyber security framework. This is basically it is a culmination of all those frameworks that I was talking about till now. Like all these standards are been mixed up and in a very easier way, and for especially for the financial sector. So this has been completely condensed into a single framework, and that must be implemented in an organization for a better security. That is what they have come up with. This is enterprise level, and it has been used in especially the financial sector, right? So what does it? This cybersecurity framework speaks about. It has three pillars, which is one is um, annex baseline security, cybersecurity, and resilience. Second one is cybersecurity operations center, and third is cybersecurity incident reporting. So these are the three pillars of it. Now, I'm not going to explain very detailedly about these things, but one thing you may remember is for a framework, the first thing comes is policies. So let me explain that in a easier way. Mm. So basically, first comes is a policy. See, now any country that will have a policy is like nobody should go out without having a valid visa. So that's a kind of a policy. Then after policy, what comes is this guidelines, right? Guidelines. And then comes is procedure, right? So when I say these three things, first there will be policy. What the policy says, nobody should go outside organization without valid visa. But then how do we implement that, and what kind of guidelines should be there? Then what you say is, if at all there is a visa, then that visa should be valid for so and so days. And there are several types of visas, like it may be tourist visa, it may be a permanent resident visa, it may be a visiting visa, etc., etc., right? Those kind of guidelines will be given by that particular standard. Next comes is the procedure. How do we implement these guidelines? So then when a person comes, that person first you check this one. That means you check whether he has a valid passport. Second, what is his date of birth, and where he has come from, and where is he going to. So all those things in a procedure, like how we have SOP in our organizations, maybe for your quality analysis or anything as such, that kind of procedures will be there. So always it is a drop down, top to down approach from policy. Then comes the guidelines, then comes the procedure. I hope you are clear about this. So, so also what we are looking at here in this screen is this all things what you're seeing are basically the policies, like cybersecurity policy, cybersecurity strategy, IT architecture, cybersecurity policy, and again you see cybersecurity crisis management plan. So all these things are basically different types of policies that we create, where we say in under the policy what things will be there. That if you understand, then you'll understand more deeper into the security. That I'm going to explain it a little bit deeper way. Now let's take one example. For example, baseline cybersecurity and resilience requirements. What are the requirements of it? You see here. First is, it talks about, no, these topics which I'm showing you on the screen are very big topics to understand, and it is not today, maybe last 10 minutes are not sufficient for this. But then I'm going to explain very briefly about one or two things in each annex, and then I will explain more detailedly tomorrow, right? First thing is inventory management of business IT assets. Like, when you say to an organization that you have to follow certain policies, what is the first policy that you will create is all the inventory of an organization. Inventory means your assets, like your servers, your endpoints, or your databases, your applications, and the routers, switches, firewalls, security solutions. All those things must be kept in one particular place. There is an inventory management tool. There are some jobs available in the market, those who are experts in managing this inventory management solution, right? And how do we get the data into the inventory management solution, and how do we manage that? I'm sure some of you already know about this very well, but still I'm explaining for the benefit of the others. And the inventory management solution helps in several ways, especially with respect to um, the life cycle of an asset. If at all a server is going to expire its licenses by next year, then this inventory management tool will give an indication, and so that the expired things, unlicensed things, unsupported things should not be used in an organization. That is how you safeguard your security. Then you might be wondering, what is the problem in using a expired or unsupported solution for us? Yes, there is a problem. If the particular solutions or an asset is not being securely patched or been safely safeguarded, then what happens is it gives an opportunity for the attacker to attack upon that asset, because there are no patches available, and vulnerabilities are already available, weaknesses will be available in that asset, so that the attacker can easily attack upon that particular asset. That is the reason the primary goal for our cyber resilience is inventory management must be maintained, and it should give out an alert when there is something going to expire in well in advance, so that we ensure its security. So also we have several other points here. You can just note down these things. One particular point now again I will tell before moving on to the next annex. That is, for example, the user access control or a management. What you see here. So user access control management is nothing but what we are seeing here, this one. So this user access control management is all about what are the assets you have, and this asserts what kind of access they should have, and who are those people, whom should they access. So all those concepts will be defined here, right, as a policy. Accordingly they will be implemented, right? That is the point about this user access control management. How, who should be given the access, and how are they accessing, where are they accessing, all those things will be recorded through this. Next comes, I will just stop it here to have a detailed discussion on other things in the upcoming sessions. But now I go to the annex 2, where we see especially the governance requirements. So when you say governance requirements, it is more about what are the requirements that you gather for our security. Like, as per governance, what are the policies or the standards to be implemented, that will requirements will be taken up. And integration, where all it must be integrated, which technologies requirements are there, process requirements are there, all this will be defined in the second annex of a cyber security framework. And finally, the third important annex that you see here, which is more about the incident reporting. If at all there is any cyber security incident that occurs in an organization, how do you secure that particular incident victims, and also how do you restore from that incident? For example, ransomware has happened, your data is encrypted now. Now, how do you restore back? Decryption, how do you do? Or maybe if it is you're not able to decrypt it, how do you restore back your data? So all those things are being defined in this particular annex. I'm sure you are clear about this, right? So that's the kind of an approach that we take in here. So having said this, these are the various approaches of a cyber security framework that we are discussing about. So here you can go through all these points. I will explain more detailedly about each and everything, because what I'm listing down here for you, each one creates one job opportunity for everyone. Now let me tell you one example about secure configuration. So for an organization, uh, the assets. For example, a server, maybe Windows server or a Linux server, for the matter of fact, any Unix servers. Unix will contain, I'm sure some of you will knowing, three flavors. Unix has three flavors, right? One is Linux and AIX and Solaris, okay, and several other flavors are also there. These are the major things. So these flavors, how they must be secured before you bring them into an organization, before you put them into the production, before you put them into usage, what are the basic configurations that you have to do in that particular servers. So that is what is being defined in this secure configuration. Who speaks about these secure configurations? There is an institute called, or maybe the standard, which is called as CIS, Center for Internet Security. So there is a CIS documents which are available online, and you can go for CIS document for Windows Server. What are the basic security configurations that you need to do? For example, no removable media should be enabled. That's a one check that they have to do through this secure configuration, as well as no RDP connections must be allowed. So, like that, for Windows Server, what are the basic important connections configuration that needs to be done, and for other servers, what are the basic configurations to be done? All those things are defined over here. So, I'll discuss more detailedly about this in the upcoming sessions. However, I'm just giving an example. Just to create this generic document for an organization, you will have to go through the CIS document, and that document you condense it and convert it according to your organization's requirement, and you create a secure configuration documents. So creation of the security documents, configuration documents, as well as doing an auditing whether this, really they have implemented the secure configuration document in an organization or not. Somebody would be audited. So that auditing person and a configuration documents creation person, these both are having a important role, and they have their own job opportunities as well. So that's the kind of approach I'm talking about in a security. I hope it is clear to you now. So I will stop it here now, and we have more 6 minutes. So in this time, I would request you all, if you have any questions specifically with respect to the topics that we have discussed. Now um, we will have a chat. Okay. Yeah. Anyone can ask your questions. I'm sure if any questions have come in chat, nothing. So you can ask. Just to brief again, I was talking more about today the defense in depth concept, and then the governance part, how the standards are there, frameworks are there, what job opportunities do we expect from them, and then how to approach them. These are the things I was teaching today. So if anybody have any queries, anything you want to know more, please let me know. Anyone? Friends, I request you all just to utilize this time of questionnaire very liberally, because we'll learn more in having a discussion than just one side training that I give in, right? So I would be explaining several concepts, but something you might have missed it, or maybe you have misunderstood it. Such things I can very clearly explain to you in a second chance. So I request somebody to ask some question for the benefit of others also.
Yeah, hi, this is Imran. So the question is, are you covering the GRC first and then SOC and then incidents response? Three parts. You covering the whole topic and the whole course?
Yes, yes. I would be covering all of these three, because
Mm-hmm.
if you go to any other institute or any other training centers,
Mm-hmm.
either they will concentrate any of the one component of these things, and they will
Okay.
go deep into it, right? So what I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to help you people with is, like, I will give you overall structure of all these aspects, so that whichever you feel more interested, that career path you can choose in and go deeper into it and get a certification for your benefit. Because if you go to certification, they'll just talk about one particular topic only, and that will give a very brief information for you. and that will restrict you to that information only. What I face with my experience is, people come up with various experiences and come into the organization. They don't understand the overall structure of an organization, how the security must be implemented and all. So those important concepts with practical knowledge I'm trying to impart here, so that you will choose one particular thing from this and you will pursue your career in that. So that's my overall idea in giving this no huge lot of information, Imran.
Okay, are you using any tools for for security, so like free access tool for SOC?
Well, actually, I will show you many live sessions in the sense like what I will be using in my environment. Those things I will show you in the screen, how they are being used, how to analyze certain logs, maybe, or maybe to create some use cases. How do we deploy it? How do we integrate and get a results out of it? Those are all things I will be showing in these sessions, upcoming sessions.
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, all right. Thank
good. Thank you, Imran. Oh, I think Hemant also asked the same thing, right? Uh, you see, cyber security analyst specifically comes under security operations center, but then information security engineers or the analyst, information security specialist, all those things basically are called under GRC. Okay, this is just a naming convention that differs in various organizations, but however, cybersecurity analyst specifically focuses upon SOC as well as GRC as in a second level of work. Mainly information security when you talk about, then GRC comes into picture more. So cyber and information, little bit difference is there. More with respect to the attack and technical perspective, we call it as a cyber. But with respect to policies and the governance and procedures, all those things comes under GRC. Okay, Arun? Yeah. Is this course suitable for performance and OAT engineers? Uh, oh, can you confirm what is OAT engineers? Are you telling it like QA engineers or OT engineers? I know, but what is OAT? I'm not sure. If you can just confirm that. Operational acceptance engineer. Okay. So, see, basically, cyber security will be referred in all the areas, irrespective of it may be OAT or maybe for your cyber security, sorry, your software engineering or development or various other areas. Why I'm saying this point is, as I was talking about yesterday with one madam who was asked with respect to DevSecOps, when you try to implement your life cycle of your software product, then in every uh, part or every component of that life cycle, right, there are some security measures to be implemented. So what are those measures? How do you implement it? How do you ensure that it has been implemented, and how do you audit that? These all concepts comes into the DevSecOps, right? So in whatever background you may be, and that will be the security will be applicable in those backgrounds. So that's the importance of the cyber security training. Okay, man. Yeah, Krishna Mohan, I think you asked the right question. And what topics will be covered under hands-on? So hands-on, when I say mainly the SIM solution, how do we use the SIM solution, and how do we use our red teaming, Kali Linux and all, how we can use that. All those things I will cover then. Mainly, I will focus upon your job-oriented things, like what kind of certifications and what are there inside it, how we can leverage those tools for us in a practical way. I will explain. You may not be getting a direct hands-on on that because, as I said, in each topic has again a deeper course of content course. Especially I think there is one more course which is coming up very soon, which will be talking more on the penetration testing and all, etc. Right? So that is again a deeper way that we have to go in, like how we do we attack, what kind of payloads to be used, how do we execute it, and how that payload must be safely and securely and issued into an application or an attack. So all such things are deeper way discussed in a different topics. So that is why if I have to take a solution and show you in hands on, it takes a longer time. It's a separate 30 hours course content it is. That's the reason I will show you on a practical insights how we can use that. But then again, you can take a different time period for you to practice those topics for you and to get expertise on that. Is that okay, Krishna?
Yeah, noted.
Right. Thank you. So, any further questions, or we can end this session for today and we'll correct tomorrow again. And please feel free to ask any questions, or you want to give some feedback, like what kind of things you still need. And or if I'm going a little faster, also you may stop me and ask me to repeat it back again to you, so that I'm happy to do that. Right? Anyone have any concern or want to give some response? Else we'll end this session. Right. Without wasting your time, I will end the session for today. Tomorrow, we are coming up with a new topic, and a little deeper way about this GRC we will learn. And I will kickstart with some of the basic security of various layers that I was talking about today. Okay. See you back again tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.